What do you guys think? Pink or glow? I think we're gonna go with the glow. You know what? I think we're gonna do both. Let's go get them. Making our way out of the harbor here. A little bit more of a breeze than I was expecting. Hopefully that lays down. It's been a while since I've been out here. Well, as I'm coming out here, man, there's birds are going bananas, and I saw like a huge flock of, or school, or whatever you want to call it, of sea lions. And normally this time of year there isn't a lot of bait around, so I'm curious what kind of bait is here. I can see it on the fish finder as well. More out of curiosity than anything. I wasn't planning on fishing with live bait today, but I just want to see what's out here. I think it's really small bait fish, maybe anchovies or something. Yeah, so it is really small anchovies. This is actually probably a good sign. Hopefully that means there's some bigger fish around. And the goal for today is pretty simple. I don't know what I'm gonna catch, but I want to catch something that I can bring home to eat for dinner. I haven't really caught any fish lately that I can catch and cook and eat. And the weather's been bad, so that's another reason why I haven't been out on the kayak as much. During the winter time here in the Bay Area, that's to be expected. A lot of times this time of year, you know, the kayak doesn't see as much of the ocean as it does during the summer. But today we have a little weather window. You know, the weather's not great, like I said, there's a little breeze this morning, but definitely fishable. And so my main target today is flatfish. If I catch a halibut, that'd be great. But honestly, my main target is sole. I did this once last year. Well, I did it a few times, but I did one video last year where it took me a long time to try and putt around, try and figure out where these sole were hanging out. And I finally got a couple right at the end of the day after doing a lot of searching, hours and hours, multiple days out here. And so today I'm going to go right back to that same spot and see if there's any more. And, you know, sole are a little bit smaller than halibut, so these smaller anchovies might be perfect. I honestly probably should have kept them alive, but I didn't bring my live bait tank. Poor decision on my part, but this should still work as frozen bait. I brought a bag of frozen squid, which was going to be my bait for today. But you know, since there's some of these anchovies around, I'll throw a couple of these on there, see if they're in the mood for an anchovy. All right, we have made it to the promised land. Hopefully there's some fish here. Don't really know what to expect. And while we're dropping down, I'll take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is PC Fun. They sent me this PC Fun Alijos 400 XH. This is like the perfect size reel for almost any saltwater species in the Bay Area. I mean, I've caught lingcod, obviously rockfish, halibut, salmon. This is actually the high speed version, so it's 8.1 to 1 gear ratio. Which is perfect for salmon because you always want that quick reel just in case, you know, a big salmon comes and is charging your boat. It's nice to have that quick reeling ability. And yeah, it's just that low profile, perfect lightweight reel to catch you some fish. And also, I caught my biggest fish, I think, of the year last year on a kayak on this exact reel, which was my white sea bass. So definitely can handle big fish. You could probably catch a sturgeon on it too if you wanted to. Yeah, I can't really think of anything that this reel wouldn't catch, especially from a kayak. Thank you to PC Fun for sponsoring this video. I'll also have a link down in the description with a promo code if you'd like to get any of their products. So anyway, let's get to fishing. Yeah, we're dropping down. We're just gonna drift with the current here. Hopefully a nice sole picks up we have squid on one side, anchovy on the other. And yeah, we're gonna see what happens. I also installed these rod holders on this kayak. I had to drill a couple holes. Now I get a good spread. I don't need to hold the rod. I just sit back here and wait for the fish. Something's nibbling at this one, but I don't think it's what we're looking for. It might be a little sand dab or something. I think there's something on here. Not sure what it is, but it seems like there's something. Doesn't seem super big, but you know, these sole, they're not very big to begin with, so maybe it's big enough. Who knows? Could also just be a sand dab, in which case we'll probably just throw it back. We got color. Uh-oh, not looking good. Yeah, 2 sand dabs. Well, you could definitely eat these too, or as well, but I'm really looking for a sole, so I'm gonna toss these back for now. Later on the day, I may get desperate enough to take one of these or a couple of these home, but for now, we'll toss them back. And all I'm doing with this squid is just cutting it into strips and putting it on like this. You really don't need the squid. These little skirt things can attract fish on their own, but I always like to give it a little bit of flavor. I feel like it helps the bite. It definitely doesn't hurt it. And the water is super clear. I mean, I could see probably 30, 40 feet right here. Ooh. This one's fighting a little bit. I don't know, I feel like it's just a sand dab though. I was just watching a Robert Field video from Panama, which reminds me, Taku and I are planning another trip to Panama this coming May. And the last one was a lot of fun. Probably one of the best trips I've been on. Just a lot of catching fish, a lot of good times, great food. And yeah, we're going back in May. So if you're interested, I'll put some of the details down in the description. But yeah, I would love to have some of you join us down there. We're gonna be doing some kayak fishing, some camping, and catching fish that are a lot bigger than this one. This would be like the bait for the big fish down there. And obviously I've been down there a couple times now, and I feel like I have a good idea of how the whole system works. So if you have any questions about the trip and you're interested, you just don't know like what to bring, or yeah, whatever, anything, just feel free to leave a comment or shoot me a DM on Instagram, whatever, and I can do my best to answer it. So anyway, I need to find these sole. I was just reeling up to reset my drift. I think we've drifted out a little too deep here. Well, I think it's time for an update. Nothing yet other than a few sand dabs. I've tried out a little deeper. I went in a little shallower. Now I'm kind of around where I started. The one thing that I do hope that might help is the tide is about to turn in about an hour. So maybe that'll turn on the bite a little bit. Maybe it'll change up the way the current's flowing or whatever and get these fish a little more active. That's my hope, at least. But really, other than that, I just keep moving around, trying different areas. So we're gonna try something a little different. We're gonna send down a full squid on this rod over here. Just putting it on a trap rig. These fish won't eat a strip of squid. Well, maybe a full one will fool them. Welcome back. It's day number 2. I'm about 3 or 4 miles. I don't know exactly. A long ways offshore. I've definitely never been in this area this far offshore on my kayak. Definitely not solo. But the reason I wanted to come out here is because I wanted to get out deep so I can drop a crab pot. So as you've seen, the fishing has been tough, so I just wanted to add another extra layer of potential to catch something to bring home to eat. And this area historically is not really a well crabbed area. Honestly, I think in general, if you really want to get crab, your time is best spent somewhere else. But I just wanted to try something different. And from all the knowledge that I've gathered over years, if you want to catch crab here, you got to go out deep. And I didn't want to bring a ton of rope. I also didn't want to lift this crab cage up from way far down. So I brought 100 feet of rope, and pretty much the deepest, comfortably that you could get with 100 foot of rope is about 80 to 85 feet. You want to leave at least, 20% more rope than how deep the water is. So like if it was 100 feet deep and I only had 100 feet of rope, I would definitely not recommend dropping there, because the currents, the tides, swells, stuff like that, very liable for just that to pull your whole buoy underwater, and then you're never gonna find your crab trap again. So anyway, we're right at 80, 81 on the fish finder right now. And I think I'm just gonna drop it. I don't really want to go out any farther than this. And I have all the safety items that you would want to take if you want to go out solo. Definitely recommended to go out with a buddy if you can. But if not, sometimes all your buddies are busy or whatever. Just make sure you bring the proper safety gear. And so I'm trying to set up my bait cages here, and I don't want them to be flailing around. I don't want them to accidentally run up and block one of the trap doors from, shutting all the way. Maybe it'll prop it open, and then any crab that's in there is just gonna crawl right out. So trying to situate these so that they're right in the middle. I believe starting in January or somewhere around there, the crab trap restriction was lifted, and so now I think commercial season is open, and then also recreational fishermen are allowed to come out and drop cages again, and that's because there's the whale migration has finished in these waters. One thing that you do need, however, for recreational crabbers, if you want to drop a cage like this, you need a crab trap validation, which is like an extra, I don't know, $3 on top of your fishing license. So just something to note if you're going to try and drop cages like this. But we're all set up. We turn this off. 81 feet of water right here. I have no idea if there's crab here or not, but honestly, if I got 2 Dungy keepers, I'd be happy. Honestly, even 1, I'd be happy. Now that we've dropped that, let's get back to fishing. And I think we're gonna do a similar thing that we did last time. Even though it didn't work, we're fishing a little different area today, so hopefully we have better luck. I'm gonna drop a whole squid on one rod and do strips of squid on my other rod in hopes that we can get some kind of flatfish. All right, well, we've been trying this for over an hour now. Hopefully I have some crab crawling in that trap, because nothing is going after the squid. Both rods are now a squid, and this one, look at this, not even touched. So yeah, I'm gonna make a little move. I know I said I didn't want to go farther offshore, but I also don't want to go home empty-handed, so I think we're just gonna have to send it. It's also got all this this gooey stuff It's like a booger. I get that when I go out deeper sometimes. I don't know what it is. It's kind of annoying. Farther offshore. I'm a long ways from shore now. But luckily it's a really nice weather day. And if it gets worse, we'll just have to head back in. But for now, you wouldn't even be, if I didn't tell you we were farther offshore, you wouldn't even know, because look at how calm it is out here. It's a fish. I don't think it's what we're looking for, but holy moly, at least we're catching something. Yep, that is unfortunate. It's a rockfish. That's what I was worried about. Thought maybe we were getting too close to some rocks, which would be nice if it was rockfish season, but it's not right now. So these are all, any rockfish that I catch have to go back, unfortunately. I guess one cool thing that we can get is a nice underwater shot of him going back. But at least we caught a fish. Whoa, whoa, whoa. At least we caught one fish. Wasn't what we're looking for, and it wasn't, you know, we're not able to bring it home for dinner, but I don't know, does that count as a non-skunk? I typically would say that that's a skunk anyways, but it's like one of the nicest weather days I've ever had out here. And in contrast, one of the worst fishing days I've ever had out here. But at the same time, the fishing, the bad fishing, is kind of expected this time of year. There's a reason I haven't seen a single boat since I've been out here today. That's because there's just not many fish around right now. I don't really know what happens to halibut. I talked about this last winter actually when I was trying to go catch one, and I actually caught a couple, which I haven't been able to do this winter yet. But I was thinking, like, I don't know what happens to these halibut. Do they, I mean, it's not like they just disappear during the winter. They have to be somewhere. So are they out deeper? Are they still in the same places? They're just literally not feeding at all, not moving. They're just hibernating. I don't really know. My theory is that they do go out a little deeper, and then they just kind of sit there. I just don't think that they're in the mood for feeding, really. You know, if they get, you know, if you just happen to hit it at the right time with the right place and the right fish, you could probably get one to bite. But in general, they're not out actively feeding like they do during the summer. That's my theory. But if you have something different, feel free to leave a comment below and let me know. I'm open to other theories. Look at this. How sad is this? It's the same squid I dropped down 6 hours ago, and it hasn't even gotten touched. All right, let's go pray for a crab. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is our last attempt at catching dinner. Taking bets now. Well, how many crab do you think are in here? I'm gonna go with 0. Based on how this video's gone so far. Oh man, at least I'm gonna get a workout here. Oh! Hey! There are 2 crab in here. What do you know? Well, generally I'm looking for Dungeness crab, but at this point we can't get greedy. This is it. These are the 2 crab I'm bringing home, and I'm eating these guys. I mean, as far as rock crab go, they're not bad rock crabs. Can you believe it? I caught something. Definitely big enough, so these rock crab need to be 4 inches across the back here in order to keep. And you you have one of these crab gauges, and actually these are going to be way bigger. These are like probably 6-inch, yeah, even a little bit more, a little over 6 inches, and this one's even bigger. Look at those claws. So I'm pretty sure rock crab are all up and down the west coast. Unlike the Dungeness crab, those are only from Central California or Northern California up. These rock crab, I think you can get these all the way down to Southern California. So if you happen to live on the California coastline, it's a good chance that you have rock crab out in your waters. And these typically, as the name would suggest, hang out closer to rocks, whereas the Dungeness crab hang out closer to sand, or on the sand I should say. And if you look at these rock crab, you can easily tell why they're not as preferred as the Dungeness crab, and that's simply because all the meat, or like, I don't know, I want to say like 90% of the meat is in these two claws right here. There's a lot of meat in those two claws, but the rest of the legs are kind of skimpy. You know, the Dungeness crab, the body, as well as all 8 legs, all have a good amount of meat in them. But in the rock crab, the grand majority of it is in these two claws, which are bigger than the claws of the Dungeness, but still, overall, a little less yield for your work when you're eating these rock crab. But as far as taste goes, they're pretty comparable. I think they're a little bit different. I don't know how to describe it. Rock crab are like a little more, I don't know how to describe it. You just have to try it to see. But both are very good, very sweet, perfect for, you know, crab cakes. You can eat them straight, crab meat, crab over rice, crab fried rice, one of my favorites. And honestly, I don't do this very often, but overall, almost a skunk video. Not quite a skunk, but pretty close, not much catching. And I really do not like to post these kind of videos, but some people like them. You know, it's always good to see the struggle. A lot of times we're out there catching in most of our videos, and yeah, it's good to kind of see some, I don't know if it's behind the scenes, but some of those trips that don't go as planned. And yeah, this was one of those trips. A couple of days out here, not a lot of action. It's probably gonna be a while before I bring my kayak back out here. This is just like a dead zone for the most part. But yeah, I'll go hit some freshwater lakes, rivers, maybe go fish the surf a little bit, or try for more of these crab. Crab is definitely something you could do during the winter months. Fishing, a little tough out here in the ocean. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I promise to catch something good in my next video. We'll leave you with that. Later. Look, this is how you know this is not a well-crabbed area. The birds know where people like to crab. And anytime you're out there cleaning your cages at the end of the day, there's always a flock of seagulls around you waiting to catch the scraps. And today, there are no seagulls out here. Not a single one.